my name is Michelle McIntosh Harvey. I work at the Child Protection and Family Services Agency as the Director of Financial Management and Accounting Services. And I'm here today to speak about my journey as an adoptive mother. So the journey began many years ago, in that I'm a member of the Lions Club of Kingston, and that's for like over 25 years. And every Christmas, Easter, we would normally take home children just to expose them, just to give them some love. So I would always on that program taking home 2 children every Christmas, Easter, whenever I could. I'd keep them for a week, as long as it's possible, and then take them back to the children's home. And it just happened that I started working at the then CDA, and they knew that I was part of that program with my Lions Club. And one of the managers at one of the nurseries that we run said to me, "Miss Mac, have a little boy that's perfect for you, I wanted to foster him." I said, I don't know if I can take on that responsibility. She said, "No, Miss Mac, when you're taking home those children for the Christmas, take him home." And so I said, all right, let me take him home. Well, he came, and I would say he came, he saw, and he conquered, because one look at him, and it was basically love at first sight. He was about 3 years old at the time, very quiet. And because I was also the caregiver for my mother, I had a live-in helper. And when it was time for him to go back, I said, "I am not sending him back." And she said, "Miss Michelle, nobody send him back. Me will look after him too." And so it was just, that was it. So there was no preparation, there was no decision. He just came and just stole our hearts. Everywhere I went, Lions Club meetings, I made a musical vest, and he was with me, and we were up and down as a foster parent. And they decided, my office said, okay, let us formalize the placement. And so we went through all the channels. They came to my home, they ensured that I had proper space for him. They saw that there was a caregiver, and he would be properly looked after. And so they finalized the placement. And with that now, I had to now start, getting him into school and, basic school, things like that. I actually remember when I took him to basic school, I got him in. And he was crying like nobody's business. And I was crying like nobody's business. And we couldn't separate. And the teacher says, "All right, Mommy, he'll be fine, he'll be fine." But because I'd grown so used to him, and everywhere I have, and he's crying. And so we were just bawling like we didn't have any sense. Eventually, on the way to work, I was still crying, even at work. They said, "Lord, Miss Mac." But I was anxious to go home the evening for him. And then after that, we started to get used to that process. My husband, I'm just married 1 year now, just a year. And my husband keeps saying that we feed off each other. So if I am unhappy, Omar tends to be unhappy. And I recall when my mother passed a few years ago, as usual, I'm sitting there and I'm bawling. And Omar came to me and he said, "Mommy, you're crying for Grandma again? Remember you have me, And that thing just changed the whole picture around. And you realize, hey, get yourself together. You have your son, and you and him can move on, there's no preparation, and there's nobody on this earth can tell you there's any preparation, because you do not know. Even if you have your biological child, you do not know the child's personality, what the child is going to be like, what the child is going to need over time. So there's no way you can really prepare yourself. I would say that I have to draw on inspiration from my friends. I draw on inspiration from my sister and brother. If I have a query, then I will speak with someone who has done it before. So I have friends who has raised boys only. And I will call her and I say, "Geez and peace, what do I do now?" You know? And she'll give me advice. What I've done in terms of choosing godparents, because I was a single mother at the time, I asked my 2 grown nephews, because they're big men now, I put them as the godfathers. I asked them to be the godfathers, because I said at some point in time, he's going to need some guidance from a male. There are things I can tell him, but I can't tell him from the perspective of a male. So I did prime them from then and say to them that, I'll have to call on you to assist. So in terms of preparation, it's things like that I would say that I did. The only problem would be, say, in discipline, right? In trying to do some disciplinary action. So we had to develop methods of how to try to discipline him and what would work with him. So my main challenge was working on what would work. So I tried the standing in the corner, things like that. But what I found work then was, there was a threat I would make. I said to him, "If I get to 5 and you don't do it, you're going to get a beating." Well, I never got past 3. I've never gotten past 3, because by the time I reached 3, it's done, or he has apologized, or whatever it is. So that worked up until, I would say, a couple of years ago, because he's now 14 going to 15. And that's a whole different ball game now, because, it's now trying to, his voice has changed. He's taller than me, so now he's measuring up on me. "Mommy," that sort of a thing. So it has to change. So you have to still find a way to instill discipline when he's not done what he's supposed to do. But at the same time, be mindful that you don't want to stifle him, stifle his personality. Once you love, and you can love unconditionally, you can take that child and raise that child as your own, even without the fostering, as adoptive. And one of the things with the foster parents, because I have to give you the distinction, because as a foster parent, the biological rights don't pass to you. As an adoptive parent, you go before the court and the biological rights are passed to you. His file of his birth is closed, and he's the only one who can go and request information at 18. So a lot of people are afraid of loving the child, and eventually they may not have the child after, because, there's a ward of the state, and we could then say we have another placement that might be better for the child. But you have already given that love. I would say, based on speaking with even some of our foster parents, it is so beneficial. If you listen to them speak, you would think that they actually gave birth to that child, because they love unconditionally. They don't have a lot of money, so don't worry about the money. As I have been blessed, because I had, apart from the job that I have, I do have a close-knit family. I have a close-knit family, and I have friends that I've had for over 50 years. Close-knit. So they form that community. If you have some sort of community that will assist you, take that child and love that child, because I'm telling you, it makes a difference in the child's life. again, where I work, you can see the difference in other children who don't get that love, that unconditional love, you know, compared to, and plenty of people will look and say, boy, Omar is such a different child, is such, yeah, but the word is love. So I would suggest, if you have that love in your heart for children, and everybody said they love children, but that genuine love, you can take a child, foster that child, and at some point you could probably move for adoption. I know one of the things I feared after falling in love with him, that they would take him. And so I then said, is he free for adoption? And he was. And I said, okay, we're going through the process. There are many things that need to be sorted, readoptions in Jamaica. And we are trying to get the law changed with a lot of things. But the fostering does help. There are some people who have fostered their children to 18 and beyond. And if you ask them, they say, it's my child. And that my husband is a foster child. His mother died when he was a baby. And so he was fostered. So even now, he's, speaks about his mommy. He looks after her, and things like that. So it does help. So, open your heart and love a child. That's the message, love a child.